Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back. I am back. Let's pick it up. We are on page 150, second paragraph. The Jewish glyph and Hebrew language are not original, but borrowed from the Egyptian and are considered sacred. How about that, y'all? What does it mean? First of all, there is no Jewish glyph. Jewish is a religion. So there is no Jewish glyph, right? So what he's talking about? Well, if he's talking about those of our ancestors who organized themselves into solar religions, and came up with the script that Ezra presented, the block and square. I don't know if he's talking about that, right? The current biblical Hebrew script. If you open up a Hebrew Bible, you'll see the script. Is he talking about that? The Jewish glyph and Hebrew language. There is no Hebrew language. There is ancient Ibaryath. There's Paleo Phoenician or Canaanite Phoenician. There's Paleo, or what they call Paleo Hebrew, but that's a script. There is no Hebrew language. But anyway, he says that the glyph, I'm assuming he's talking about the pictographs, are not original. The Jewish, matter of fact, let me look this up. Let's be precise. Let's go into Cambridge. All right, so here we go. You guys see a picture or symbol that represents a word. A picture or symbol that represents a word used in some writing systems, such as the one used in ancient Egypt. Think about that. I'm going to make a comment on here. I want to see what else I can find. Give me 1 second, y'all. Now, take a look at, this is Wikipedia. Hold on, let me see if I can find something better than Wikipedia. Let's see, y'all. So what they're referring to by glyphs are the pictographs. Okay? So let me show you. So I Google searched Hebrew glyphs. This is the result I got. Do you see Hebrew alphabet, Semitic alphabet, used for writing Hebrew, Samaritan, Yiddish? Isn't that dramatic, y'all? Judeo-Spanish, y'all, and other Jewish languages. There is no such thing as a Jewish language. So let's continue. This is almost incredible. When you read this stuff, they really depend on the reader to be ignorant and to just accept these, because if you have any type of knowledge or background, you see that this is a whole bunch of crap. Let me see. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. It says, it is an offshoot of the Imperial Aramaic alphabet, which flourished during the Achaemenid Empire, and which itself derives from the Phoenician alphabet. So y'all can read this if you like, okay? So now, of course, the ancient Phoenician Hebrew, you guys, you can buy my book 911 Ibaryath Rescue. Let me show it. It'll give you each of the 3 scripts, including the timeline, all the meanings associated with those pictographs. So let me pull it up so y'all can see it. Hold on. Yeah. So this is a book I published years ago. So you can see the ancient. There are 3 different scripts, okay? You can get this on Amazon. There are 3 different scripts that were used in 3 different eras, eras of time. And they are not the modern, quote unquote, Hebrew script that you see today. Those are just made up, guys. Let me show you another book. It's called the Dr. Yasapa. Hold on. Give me 1 second. All right. So this is another book that I published. This is a root word dictionary. Root word, not every word, y'all. These are root words, the building blocks from which words are made. The Dr. Yasapa, Ibaryath, Aramaic, and English verbal roots lexicon. Okay, there are 1,639 verbal roots in ancient Ibaryath. Okay, so y'all can get this book also on Amazon if you want to know more about these glyphs or pictographs that are being talked about. So the pictographs tell a story. They tell a story, and the story has a cultural context. And one of the benefits of of having this knowledge, one of the most important reasons for you to buy these books is for you to be able to look at a word, the pictographs, which are letters, alphabet, that make up the word. Okay? Each pictograph has meaning. Each pictograph has meaning. So now you can look at the lexical, or the meaning, the definition of the word in the lexicon, the definition of the root word, the word, everything else. We do a whole study on this. You can look all of that up, in addition to doing a word study, which is to study each of the pictographs that are used to spell the word, and then find the relationship between the result that you got from your word study and the definitions that you got out of the lexicon. Okay, so you can look for deceit and deception. You can look for lies. You can look for anything, and you'll find it. Trust me, you'll find it. This is very powerful stuff if you know how to use it. If you know how to use it. And I can tell you this, the modern biblical Hebrew, well, they add stuff to their definitions. Let me put it like that. They just throw things in there to push their doctrine. So you need to be able to learn how to identify it and then remove it. Okay? So I have other books too, like y'all just go to Amazon or go to Google and just Google search Dr. Yasapa, Y-A-S-A-P-A, and you'll get a bunch of Ancient Ibaryath or Hebrew language books that I've written. One on the Ten Commandments. It's called what is my book on the? It's been a while since I wrote these books, guys. Let me go to Amazon. Actually, right now, I think I need to write another book, well, a few more books, but I need to put myself in a position where I can afford to write the books. Here it is. It came right up. Phoenician Hebrew 101. So this takes you deep into the Ten Commandments. Okay, it's a language study. It's not doctrine, it's a language study, guys, okay? So this will give you a great education. Phoenician Hebrew 101, all right, based upon Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'm sorry, Deuteronomy chapter 28. I don't remember which book I wrote on the Ten Commandments. Here's some of the other books I've written on the Hebrew language, guys. So I hope everyone now more clearly sees the connection between astrotheology and the biblioheliotech. All right? I wonder why this book is so expensive. Oh, well. All right, y'all. But anyway, I have more. But as it stands now, I need to write more books to incorporate the astrotheology. Not just the solar astrotheology, but also the circumpolar zodiac astrology. So I have a lot of work to do. So if y'all want to support my work, my project to correct the book of the law, meaning not just to correct the Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences, which are the lies, the deceit, the injections, etc., the hidden information, the hidden astrology, the hidden astrotheology, the hidden mythology, like we were finding now, right? That project I will include all of that back in where it's supposed to go, not just for the solar zodiac, but also for the circumpolar zodiac. In other words, not just solar time, but Sabian time. Restore the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers and show you, the reader, clearly where the remixes are. Show you what the real thing is, the real mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, Sabian time, and then the remix into solar time, and then the remix of solar time into dogmatic religion. Do y'all see it? So these are huge projects. So if y'all want to support this project, you can send finance to any of the links that I have in the description area of this video. I think most of my videos, yeah, so just send it in and let me know. Send me an email at yasapa@Zion Law School. Let me know that you sent support in, so I can check it. Or you can buy my books. That's also good. But you have to know Amazon. Actually, Amazon takes so much money that it's not even worth, as an author, to sell on these online platforms. They just take so much. They don't deserve anything, right? Because they haven't put any work in. They're not really adding any value except for you're forced to use their platform. But it is what it is until we can get our own. All right, so let's go back into it. So the Jewish glyph and the Hebrew language are not original. If they're not original, what must they be? If we're talking about autochthonous men and women, maybe there were sprinkled in there, but I just can't see it. But theoretically, there could have been sprinkled in there some hybrids. I just don't see it. Some Neanderthals. Given the way they look and smell and, the way they behave and presented themselves, I just can't imagine it. But let's just say they did. So we're not talking about a separate language. We're talking about dialects. Dialects. The same way if you go from, let's say you go from Memphis to Chicago. Totally different dialect of English, right? Amongst our people. Go from Chicago to Detroit. Very different dialect, right? Go from Chicago or Detroit to Buffalo. Very different. To New York. All of these different dialects, right? Completely different dialects. Or go over the pond over to what they call Britain nowadays, and they're going to have a completely different dialect, right, y'all? So it's still the same language, just a different dialect, okay? Just a different dialect, period. All right, so so the Jewish glyph and the Hebrew language are not original, but borrowed from the Egyptian and are considered sacred. No, they're not borrowed. It's just different dialects. Just different dialects. Because remember, we're talking about families, nations, same bloodline, right? Like your cousins and them who live in Virginia. You go down to Virginia, they talking country as, as all get out. Eating onions, eating raw onions like apples. I remember, my cousins used to do that. Later on in life, I found out that it's extremely healthy for you. They'll probably live longer than all of us. But in ignorance, we thought it was funny. But the way they speak in Virginia is very different than the way we speak in the North, right, y'all? It's just a different dialect. Okay? Not a separate language, not a separate people. It's just your cousins in them. All right? Hebrew is composed of hieroglyphs. Oh, I remember the point. So let's go back to the hieroglyph. We call them pictographs. Glyphs, as we read in the definition, let me go back to it to make the point plain. Pictographs and glyphs, hold on. Okay, so glyphs, noun. Look at the definition number 3. A symbol. That would be an icon, right? A symbol. Such as a styled or stylized figure or arrow on a public sign that imparts information non-verbally. So this is an icon, right? An icon. So let's go back to a modern day icon, like your icons on your desktop, on your laptop, right? Okay, so here's glyph, noun, in Cambridge Dictionary. A picture, pictograph, okay, picture, pictograph, graph, alphabet, letter, pictograph. A picture or symbol that represents a word used in some writing systems, such as the one used in ancient Egypt. Now, it's rare for a pictograph, a single pictograph, to represent a word in ancient Ibaryath. You have to remember, roots are not words. They are the building blocks of words. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. Let me say it again. Verbal roots are not words. They're usually 1 to 2 pictographs, sometimes 3. They are the building blocks of words. In other words, you have to add something to it, another pictograph to it, in order to make it into a word. But they store the meaning. They store the meaning. The basic meaning of any word that's formed from that verbal root. Does everyone understand? Whereas a glyph, as it says here, does what? A glyph represents a word. A glyph, that means one glyph can represent a word. That's the difference between a glyph and a pictograph. I hope everyone at least a verbal root. Okay, y'all? Now, there are bases, etc. But you buy my books and you'll get all of that information. One day I would like to do another class. I kind of miss doing the weekly Ancient Ibaryath classes. If anybody wants to start those up again, let me know. In order to do it, depending on the response, we can do maybe a 6-week class, 8-week class. Maybe all you need to do is buy the book, or maybe $100. 100 U.S. Federal Reserve notes, masquerading as dollars. Okay, y'all. But those classes are so much fun. Even though, even though I was getting a lot of Freemasons and a lot of preachers and Hebrew Israelite, I think leaders or wannabe leaders, trying to hide it. But the one thing I respected about the Freemasons is that they told me, the Hebrew Israelites, they tried to hide it. There was this one guy, I'll never forget. I had to kick him out of the class. And I'm an easy, smooth, I'm an easygoing guy. And this cat's behavior was so negative, so ghetto and street. Well, let me rephrase that. So deceptive. That's better. So deceptive and divisive. I had to throw him out. But that was with quite a few Hebrew Israelites, and he snuck in the class. Yeah, he would come and sneak in. Try to hide it. And I would think to myself, this guy is completely insincere. He obviously doesn't believe anything that he's supposed to be. He doesn't believe his own doctrine because he's a liar and a thief, right? And but I had a lot of characters like that, Hebrew Israelites. Oh, some of them were terrible, but on the other hand, those people who were sincere and who really wanted to learn and participated, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I think at that time, all you needed to do was, I think the first couple years, I don't remember clearly. The first couple years, all you needed to do was buy the book. And I think later on, because of all of the trouble and things like that, I started just charging a monthly fee. I think it was one. I don't remember. I think it was $100. But it was a lot of fun. It was worth it. And we met. I think we met once a week. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, especially when you get to see people realize something that they never would have imagined, or that was totally opposite of what they had been taught, and you see the look on their face. You see how they respond verbally and non-verbally as they undergo uh, cognitive dissonance. Oh, that class was a trip. That class was an eye opener. And it wasn't just me who would watch people undergo cognitive dissonance, but people who would undergo it, and who underwent it rather, and then they stayed. They would observe other people undergoing it. Right? It was just amazing. You just see the brainwashing falling off. So imagine what that class would be like with the astrotheology from solar time and the astrotheology from Sabian time, circumpolar zodiac, and the civics. Imagine what that would be. Powerful. That would be a powerful class. And not just that, I almost forgot. With instruction and sessions to train people how to use the workshop of the mind, how to craft their reality, how to solve problems in the workshop of the mind, how to bend reality, right? Put all of that in there because that's a practical application of it all. That's the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Let's see. So Olid J. Lamech. Hi, doctor. This is this is Way. I paid $10 a month and I'm still learning. I stopped fellowshipping with a couple of the Hebrew Israelite assemblies because I felt like a remix of Christianity. Absolutely. It's the solar religions. And we have to keep in mind that in the solar religion, this is what it is in the solar religion, okay, right? Sun up, the kingdom of God from the vernal equinox to the fall equinox. Sun up, enlightenment, wisdom, heavenly, godly, good, blessings, abundance, knowledge and wisdom, enlightenment. Below the fall equinox, all the way down to the winter solstice, all the way around to the day before the vernal or spring equinox, this is what y'all call what? Hell. Hell. Where everything is cold, black, evil, dead or dying, decaying. Wickedness happens in the dark according to the Solarites, which is the exact opposite of the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Darkness represented everything that was godly in today's terminology, beautiful, all the blessings, all of the enlightenment. So in the solar zodiac, it has to be Moors down, autochthonous men and women down, okay? Branded as evil, wicked, gangsters, hoodlums, ignorant, lazy, liars, anything that's negative, anything that's devilish. This is to be the stereotype forced onto autochthonous men and women. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, men and women, the Sabian Moors. Everybody understand that? So if you are black, right, you're a Moor, you're black. Therefore, you're wicked, you're a demon, you're everything negative, everything bad. Okay? If you're a pale face, you're in the image of God. You're godly, you're the angels, everything beautiful, everything that is to be admired, that is to be protected. But if you're black, you're to be put down and destroyed. Don't let me see y'all niggas in a group of 3 or more. Do y'all see what I'm saying? So when we see, let's say, religious organizations, these solar religious organizations, we see the same type of oppression. Even though the ecclesiastical class are autochthonous men and women, they still apply the same screws from the solar zodiac, the solar religions. They still apply the same screws to you because they're in on it, right? They're in on the mindset, which is to destroy the Sabian Moors, destroy the autochthonous Genesis chapter 2 people, destroy them mentally and physically. That's what it's about. And so what you find is that the solar religions led by these denationalized Moors, they can be any of the brands. they will oppress, their congregations, and they will use the solar religions to do it. The doctrine rather. So Lamech writes, they said if you're black, you're back. If you're white, you're right. Indeed. They say if you're black, get back. If you're white, you're all right. That's where it all comes from. It's their religion. It's the mindset. It's the solar mindset. So the solar mindset, remember, is not just the solar religion. The solar religion is a remix of the solar zodiac projection, where light is remixed into paleface. Do y'all see it? And in 16, whatever the year was, they start talking about white people. Do y'all see it? Which is according to the solar zodiac. White people, enlightenment, wisdom, manifest destiny. Which is a remix of the doctrine of discovery. All of this is based upon the royal arc. As the SUN sun passes over the celestial equator around March 22nd, the sun now is ascending into the kingdom of God. Right? Right? The sun is now, check this out. The sun is now the Lamb of God. The Lamb of God, Aries. The zodiac sign Aries. JC, the Christ figure, is the Lamb of God. The sun continues to ascend northward until it reaches its highest elevation in the northern part of space, which is significantly lower in elevation than the northern star or the north celestial pole region. Significantly lower. Now the sun takes on the title of Christ. So Christ has now come back and entered into his kingdom and is sitting on his throne. And everybody is enlightened. Sunlight. Enlightenment. And the solar religion teaches you that you need to have wisdom from above. You need to have enlightenment, discernment. You need to be a paleface in order to be holy, in order to be like the angels. Y'all see it? Everybody see it? You need to be a paleface. And then in the 1600s, it becomes white, according to U.S. Legislatures. Okay, white. Now white people are holy, and of course you have JC, who's white. Do y'all see it? Everything white, as in sunlight, as in pale, as in washed out, bleached out. And then the sun, from June 22nd, which is the summer solstice, the sun begins to fall as it declines in elevation, its declination falls toward fall season, right? So now we see that arc from the vernal or spring equinox. The sun reaches its highest height, June 22nd, which is a summer solstice, right? Sun becomes Christ, and then the elevation of the sun begins to fall or decline. So this is the royal arc. Y'all see it? That's the royal arc. This is the kingdom of God. And then, of course, when the sun gets to the fall equinox or autumn equinox around, is it around September 22nd, y'all? I think September 22nd, somewhere around there. When it crosses below, Christ is crucified. Jesus is crucified, right? Jesus dies on the cross. Jesus gets crucified, and then he is accompanied by the archangel. Was it Archangel Michael? I need to review. I haven't told the story in a long time. He gets accompanied by the Archangel Michael to hell on September 29. But what is September 29? September 29 is the last day of the winemaking, the vintage season, where all of the heat, or the sunlight rather, that's stored in the grapes, all that energy is gone. So on September 29th, when you squeeze the grape, right, when you step on the grape, you're just going to get vinegar, because the vital energy from the sun has been depleted by that time. Hence, JC is given gall to drink, or vinegar, indicating that the time to make wine is over. And now JC gets taken to hell, right? This is the winter months. That's what it is. And everything in the winter is bad. Okay? It's evil, it's bad. And this is the themes. Well, those are the themes that run throughout the solar religions. Okay? If it's dark, or y'all know y'all remember the brown paper bag test? I don't know if they still have that. But when I was younger, in college, you couldn't get into certain, I think the women couldn't get into AKA, I don't remember exactly. Because fraternities and sororities, that was never my thing. But you had to pass a brown paper bag test. So the lighter you are, the righter you are, right? The more holy you are. And the darker you are, the more wicked and devilish you are. Right, y'all? So let's relate it further to agriculture. Agricultural time cycles. So springtime, there's growth, right? Summer solstice, there's maturation. As the sun falls, the fecundation of the soil occurs. This is going to be July through August, meaning that the intensity of the vital energy from the sun makes the soil more productive. It's called fecundation, which catalyzes the harvest. If I remember correctly, the barley harvest, y'all check it, is in August. Okay? I don't remember if that's the first fruits or not. I haven't looked at this stuff in a long time. So we have the harvest, and then September 29 is the end of the vintage season, right? Can't make sweet wine anymore. And then after that, we go into winter. But what's happening in fall? As the sun begins to fall, of course, the fecundation catalyzes the harvest, the ripening of the fruits, etc. After ripening, what happens, y'all? The fruits will begin to rot. Many will fall to the ground. Even unripe, they'll fall to the ground. And they begin to decay. So they begin to decay, break down, and animals might eat it, right? They mineralize the soil. The leaves come down. The orientation is North America. So the leaves go from green to yellow, brown, and yellow, orange, and brown. Right? They fall on the ground. Then we get Indian summer in the fall. I remember Indian summer well because we were always warned about Indian summer. You better put on a jacket. Don't go out there. Yes, it's nice out, but you're gonna get anyone who's from North America, East Coast, Indian summer. So Indian summer, the humidity that's in the atmosphere precipitates on the leaves, on the ground. Everything heats up. You get Indian summer, right? A lot of people might get sick. But what's happening? The vegetation is decomposing, right? And the principle of whatever you sow, that you shall also reap. So in agricultural society, if someone was lazy, they had, some bad things happen, they got robbed, whatever reason, if they didn't sow much or maintain it or do the things that they needed to do so that they could have a good harvest, what are they going to get? Whatever you sow, that you shall also reap at harvest. So you may not have enough food in your storehouses, which means you got to go out and hunt. But if you go out and hunt in the winter, you might wind up being breakfast, lunch, or dinner for an animal because they're also hungry. Y'all see it? So some people, according to the solar rites, they choose not to hunt. They prefer to go and hunt their brother or their cousin or their auntie or their niece, their nephew. They're going to go steal. In other words, in the winter, people are stressed, especially people who don't have enough. They're going to go steal. Now, y'all, we know that this is all what? Theoretical. This is theoretical. And when you start to study and wake up, you're going to find that much of the solar religions, much of Western, anything philosophical, anything that they're doing, whether it be banking and finance, is all based upon hold on, y'all. It's all based upon what appears to be logical. But what appears to be logical doesn't mean that it's practical. Doesn't mean it happens in the real world. It just means that it's logical. And anyone who's had any amount of experience in life knows that just because something seems logical doesn't mean it's what happens in practice in real life. I give you an example. This is for North America. Something everybody can relate to, I think. And I'm a man, so I'm going to give you a man's point of view. Take it or leave it. You would think that women would support men in their role of being fathers and providers, right? That's logical because if the man has, she has. Even if they are going through tough times, right? You would think that, right? But men, how many of y'all got taken down to the white man and put on child support? And totally destroyed your ability to communicate with that woman. How many of y'all have had your relationship with your heirs destroyed and been branded as a bad man who does not love or care for his heirs, even though you do? Forget about the woman's motive. But it seems logical that two parents would not hurt each other and their heirs. Or I'll give you another example as a man. So I know all the things about men because I'm a man and I know lots of men. We all have the same problems, basically. How about this one? The man wants to spend time with his heir, but the woman won't let him. She blocks the relationship or says something stupid like, the baby don't want to see you. From birth, the baby don't want to see you. Okay? Who would think that that would happen logically? Logically, it makes no sense. But in practice, that happens a whole lot. All right? That happens a whole lot in practice. Even like I meet expats overseas, different countries. Everybody's telling the same story. So Lamech writes, a rabbi recently stated that black people would not be in the world to come. They are still pushing this lie. But okay, that's true. And let me tell you why. Let me read you something from page 32 of the Celestial Ship of the North. Now remember, the solar zodiac is a remix. It's a knockoff. It's a fake Gucci bag. It's a Trojan horse. Page 32 of the Celestial Ship of the North by Emma Valencia Straytown, published in 1922, volume 1, page 32. Here's what it says. As a matter of fact, let me show it on camera first. So that the Solarites will be able to see this with their own eyes. Okay? Everybody see that? Look at the paragraph. The Negroes were thought to be sons, S-O-N, sons of the mythical Ham, who is Cam, a Hebrew derivative of the Egyptian god Savick. Who, y'all? Savick Cronus. Guess who is Savick Cronus? Savick Cronus, Cronus is time. Savick, this is a class of deities. Savick Cronus is a remix of Sut, S-U-T. Sut, the dog star in the South Celestial Pole region. The South Celestial Pole region, of course, represents principles. So one principle, if you were to reduce everything down to its most common denominator, is don't steal. Don't injure anyone. Right? We Moors, we say that the highest principles in the universe are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They're five. The 5-pointed star. Savick Ra, I'm sorry, not Savick Ra, but Savick Cronus, this is the deity, right? Listen. Traces back to Sut. As I said, Sut the dog star in the South Celestial Pole region, who is the only begotten son of the Great Mother Typhoon. The first physical thing reformed or formed from existing consciousness that was primarily masculine mental energy, remixed into the solar religions as what? Jesus the Christ figure. Did you get that? The Negroes who were thought to be sons of the mythical Ham, who is Cam, a Hebrew derivative of the Egyptian god called Sevic Cronus, a second phase of the SON sun of the first mother. This is the great mother Typhoon, represented by who, y'all? The thigh of the great bear, today called the Big Dipper. Who, when he became planetary, do y'all see that? Soot is remixed into a deity called Sevic Cronus. This deity or soot is again remixed into a planet. Let's continue. Who, when he became planetary, was Saturn. Soot becomes Saturn. Wrap your head around this. Saturn, Shabbat. Who is the God of the Jews? Saturn. Let's continue. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to see it. I want to show it as I read it. And when he became planetary, that's Soot, right? Soot is remixed into Sevic Ross. Soot is then remixed into a planet called Saturn, whose color is what, y'all? Black. Astrologically, the planet Saturn is of the greatest importance to the Negro race today. Now, when they say Negro, they're talking about autochthonous Moors. There's no such thing as race, and there's definitely no such thing as a Negro, right? That's a color. He continues. So why? Because it, what y'all, indicates bridging over to a new, what y'all, condition, and into an entirely new development, which has to do with Africa. Oh my gosh, what did he just say? What did he just say? Think about the mindset. The mindset of the people today is solar time, solar religions, the solar zodiac. Let me say it again. Astrologically, the planet Saturn is of the greatest importance to the Moors today, because Saturn indicates a bridging over. What is this bridge? What is the bridge? A bridging over to a new condition and into an entirely new development. What is this? Well, here's the bridge, y'all. This is the Hermetic Law of polarity. In the solar zodiac, it is the summer solstice, June 22nd, or thereabout, and the winter solstice, December 22nd, or thereabout. The longest day of the year is the summer solstice. Light, enlightenment, okay? The shortest day or the longest night of the year is December 22nd. Darkness, evil, wickedness. Everybody see this? So, the summer solstice represents the higher self. The winter solstice represents the lower self. Most of our people, the vast majority of our people, are lower self. They're solarites. Right? Lower self. Well, let me not just confine it to Solarites. They are stealing from people, thieves. In other words, they don't live in harmony with natural law. In other words, they injure people. They injure people. And what's the alibi, y'all? What's the what's the alibi? You got to get the bag. Don't let anybody interfere with you getting the bag. See, that's why I tell y'all got to listen to Mark Passio. He does a phenomenal job of communicating what Satanism is as a mindset. As a mindset. Not what you've been taught in your Hebrew Israelite camp or your Christian church or in the university. It is a selfish, self-centered mindset where you steal from people, where you injure people. Okay? All right. So now, go back to the Hermetic Law of Polarity. Higher self, lower self. So we go to the lesser principle, lesser law of transmutation. Transmutation, we need to what? Transmute or travel. You can travel up or down this line, right? You can travel up and become Christ, or you can backslide down and become a devil again. Right? Everybody see it? This is the bridge. Okay? The bridge that will allow you to travel from the lower self to the higher self. From the solar religions, from breaking natural law, from being someone who is focused on self at the expense of others. So what is this mechanism of transmutation? Well, what do we know? We know that there's a lesser law called cosmic habit force. Right? Where you, if you repeat a behavior, the thought reinforces the behavior and the behavior reinforces the thought. And then conditioning takes place and now you have a habit. Right? So the reverse has to happen if you have bad habits. So for example, a lot of people are opportunists. Right? A lot of y'all will stab your own mama in the back for some fiat. Don't say it. Don't. You'll stab your best friend in the back for some fiat or for some nookie. Don't lie. You know who you are. So you're stealing, injuring people. So how do you break that cycle? Well, for me, enter into the workshop of the mind. Brain waves. Enter into the workshop of the mind. Right? Learn how to relax your body and your mind so that your right and left brain hemispheres are working in perfect harmony. That's going to happen between 7 to 14, let's say on average 10 cycles per second. Brainwave activity. Okay, y'all? And once you're able to do that, use your faculty of visualization and imagination to craft or bend reality to craft the reality that you want, but also to solve your problems. So you go into the workshop of the mind to solve your problems and to craft your reality. Okay, things will come easier for you. You know, what is the word? Coincidence? Is it coincidence? Miracles will begin to happen. Is it coincidences, synchronism, etc.? I'm not thinking of the vocabulary that I want. But things will become much easier for you. You won't need to go screw somebody, screw them over, right? Take advantage of them, manipulate them. You need to do that. You don't need to put a whole bunch of work and effort into things, okay? When you harmonize with universal consciousness, which is who you are, when you draw back to nature, draw back to universal consciousness, which is the Hermetic law of mentalism, you can now bring what you want into your life. You're not bound by space and time. The right people will come into your life. Of course, you have to know that this is the way reality truly. See, this is how we reckon reality. This is a mindset. You have to know that this is who you are. This is your nature. This is reality. And that the way you do things now, solve problems while you're wide awake, running around, stressed out, solving problems or trying to solve problems, totally analytical or emotional. Your brain is not harmonized, balanced, working together. This is the way most people are doing things. This is not the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. That's a solar mindset. That's their reality, not ours. The real reality is going into the workshop of the mind, solving problems and crafting your reality. That's the real reality, the way the world works. Okay? Now, I haven't mentioned Circle 7 and Clock of Destiny. I just want to focus on the workshop of the mind. See, this is the Sabian reckoning of reality and time. You don't need to harm anybody. Nobody ever thought about harming anybody until Yaqub came along, right? You go into the workshop of the mind, solve your problems, do whatever thinking you're going to do, use your imagination, use your visualization faculty, imagination faculty, right? And then you craft the life that you want, the health that you want, or do things for other people. That's the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Okay? I forgot how I got on the topic. But that's very different from the Solarite mindset, right? Which is you do everything while you're running around. Everything is a struggle. Okay? You need the external God. You need this person, and you need, so you have you're indifferent toward yourself, and you don't know yourself, right? But the true reality is, I, self, law, am master. Islam, not religion. The acronym, I, self, law, am master. Why? Because we are consciousness. See, and once you understand that, you know who you are. And now you can begin to, I remember, see, this is the bridge. See, this is the bridge that will take you from lower self to higher self. And the planet Saturn is supposed to give you lessons, difficult lessons in life, to help you to discover through the most powerful motivator of all, which is pain. Saturn shows you where your self-image is out of sync with universal consciousness, which is who you are. See, I, self, law, am master. Law, land, air, and water, civics, but what's the law? The Hermetic laws. And the lesser laws that govern the universe. I, self, law, am master. But you're not supposed to know that. Because the solar rites don't want you to know that. See, this is part of the mystery school system that they reserved for themselves. All right, y'all? So the bridge is the workshop of the mind. That's how you go from being lower self to higher self. All right? And it is through behavior and practice that you activate the other lesser law, which is cosmic habit force. Okay? Which is cosmic habit force. So you go from one mindset, the solar mindset, or the mindset of being an opportunist, a Satanist. You go from that mindset to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, which is in complete and total harmony with cosmic consciousness, or with just consciousness. Y'all get it? Total harmony with nature. Okay, y'all? Everybody see that? And Saturn is going to give you lessons to help you identify where your self-image is out of whack with nature. So if you're stealing, no matter what kind of various ways there are to steal, no matter how you might be injuring people, so Saturn is going to give you lessons, and they're going to be painful. It'll wake you up. It'll bring into your awareness that you need to change. But you need to make the decision to change or not. The lessons will continue to come. But once you pass those lessons, meaning that you have corrected your character, and now your self-image, your perception of yourself, and your behavior reflects peace and harmony and unity. It perfectly reflects universal consciousness. And that's the whole task. That's the whole task. To repair your self-image so that it perfectly matches the great I am. Your great I am. Okay? So that it perfectly matches nature, the great I am, or the Father. The will of the Father in the solar zodiac, which traces back to, of course, the Great Mother Typhoon, which is simply the Hermetic Law of Gender, which has its origin in the law of mentalism, consciousness. So you're living in perfect harmony with nature. All right? It's so easy. It's so easy. So this is the bridge. All right? And Saturn is the teacher. Okay, because Saturn indicates a bridging over to a new condition. What's a new condition? The new mindset. Going from a satanic mindset, selfishness and self-centered. I don't care what religion you're in, any of the solar religions, or if you deny that you're in a religion, no matter what camp you're in, it's the same thing. It's one form or another of Christianity and Judaism. Y'all know it's true. Okay, bridging over to a new mindset, which is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, specifically, not lying, not stealing, not injuring anyone. These are these are synonyms, right? And then circle 7 and clock of destiny. A drawing back to nature. Right, y'all? No external God worship. No following after men. Okay? You use your mental faculties to solve your own problems. You are your own savior. And you operate based upon natural law, nature, science, engineering, etc. Okay? Time cycles, celestial and terrestrial, not just agricultural time cycles like they do in solar time. Okay, y'all? And so, to bridge over to a new mindset, which is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers before the solar rites took over, and into an entirely new development. Absolutely an entirely new development. Why? Because you have an entirely new mindset, which will produce, or today they would say manifest, everything that you want to do, be, and have in life. Environmental accuser writes. Okay, y'all? So this is the bridge. Okay? The bridge is the workshop of the mind. Okay? So let's continue. So we talked about bridging over to a new condition and into an entirely new development, which has to do with Africa. So you guys know the Americas is Africa, right? But anyway, we know that they're talking about Moors. Okay, so the dominion of the Moors, where Saturn has always been peculiarly potent. Astrologically, the polarity of Saturn must be repolarized. Hermetic law of polarization, right? Hermetic law of polarity, right? Astrologically, the polarity of Saturn must be repolarized in Africa by the Negro race. Do y'all see that? What is it saying? It's simply saying that the Moors have to go into the workshop of the mind. To free themselves, to change their mindset from the solar mindset, from the satanic mindset, to the mindset of their ancient foremothers and forefathers, who are the Sabian Moors. In this book, they're calling us Sabian Moors, Sut Typhonians. The mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers before Pharaoh Menes came into power, which was what, y'all? Approximately 4,560 BCE. Go back to that mindset when there was not a solar zodiac projection, when there were not solar religions. Do y'all see it? Astrologically, the polarity of Saturn must be repolarized in Africa by the Negro race, by the Moors. Africa is America. The Moors know this, right? Saturn can never reach its highest expression in the new cycle. It's just talking about, it appears that the new cycle, I don't remember. I haven't read this page in a long time. I think the new cycle he's talking about is the zodiacal age Aquarius. So Saturn can never achieve its highest expression in the new cycle, except in its bridging periods. Do y'all see that? And also through the Negro race, who would be the Moors, right? Also through the Moors, or the autochthonous Moors, the landlords. That primitive people, primitive means what? Autochthonous, the original people, the ab-original. In other words, the fathers. The first people, rather, right? So that the Negro race, who are the Moors, the autochthonous Moors, that primitive people belonging to an immense past, with only a few remnants of correlative races remaining. Did y'all hear that? I'm going to tell you what's funny about this. With only a few remnants of correlative races remaining. Now, y'all should associate that with the doctrine of manifest destiny. Okay, associate that with the black codes. Associate that with the denationalization of the Moors in the Americas. Associate that with what happened with Consul General Lamont Maurice L. Y'all hear me out. Hear me out. When he was kidnapped, put in a prisoner of war camp for a long time. Ultimately, getting out, released by habeas corpus. Right? But then the de facto court tries to hide it. Tries to hide that fact. And according to some research that I did, y'all, I was doing some things with AI. And AI was just sitting there giving me all kind of wrong information. I wish I could pass it on to the brother. They're giving me all kind of deceptive information. And I had to ask very specific questions in order to get the information. Ultimately, well, let me just continue with the story. So they're hiding deceit in their records. What happened? They're hiding in their records what happened, why he was released. So what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? One of the things that the AI brought back is that I don't remember if it was the court or I don't remember who made the statement, but that I think it's Maryland doesn't recognize the treaty. They don't recognize the treaty. It's only, what did they say? Only symbolic or historical. Now, of course, we know that the treaty is in force, and there is no article that says that they have the power to do that, or that any party to the treaty of 18, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the Moroccan Empire and the United States of North America. There's no article saying that the treaty could be active but not active, and just active for historical purposes. But this is what they were saying on AI. I'll remember, I think it was XAI, Twitter AI. And it just blew me away how they were just lying. But the point I'm trying to make is that they're hiding the truth. They're hiding the truth and trying to scare people. So I know the story because I read all the documents. Right? Hold on 1 second. Okay. So let me go back to what I was talking about. So the Moors, that primitive or the original people belonging to an immense past. Well, the past is so immense that it's uncountable, it's undeterminable, unquantifiable. With only a few remnants, this is the point, with only a few remnants of correlative races remain. Well, how do they know? Where's the evidence? Where is the evidence to say that the autochthonous Moors have been pretty much wiped out? To this, I give them the finger. Why? Because they're trying to hide that we are still here. In other words, they're making this lie up so that they can steal our land. Y'all got it? To justify their actions. Do y'all see it? Doctrine of discovery. Well, these autochthonous people, they're pretty much all gone. So yeah, it's their land by birthright. They're not even conceding that. But they're saying what? That it's just a small remnant of the people left. Well, that ain't true. That ain't true. Okay? So they deny our status as the autochthonous people, the preamble people in the Constitution. Deny it. Deny the treaty that I just talked about. Deny it. Why? All of this is for them to be able to justify birthright theft, land theft, and cruelty, murder. Y'all get it? Just cover it up. So let me look something up for y'all, just to make it clear. See, in order for them to present themselves as godly, remember the kingdom of heaven, the royal ark, right? Everything that's pale is godly. Light is godly, right? So let me show y'all. See, if the cruelty is out there in the open, what happens? Well, let me before I say that. The most important motive is to gain jurisdiction over the autochthonous Moors, over the Moorish Americans. That's the motive. To gain jurisdiction by denying that they are the autochthonous men and women. Okay? Brand them with Negro, black, colored, mulatto, anything, Mexican, whatever. Brand them something like that. So now they have no nationality, which means they cannot enforce the Constitution as one of the people. Right? They cannot enforce the treaty as a Moor. Or some people may say as a Moorish subject. I'm using the terminology in the treaty. Okay, y'all? That's why they do it, to gain jurisdiction over you. So now you don't have a birthright claim to the land, so they're going to take the land because they got possession. And there's no apparent heir. And what happens, y'all, in the treaty? I don't remember. Maybe it's Article 23, 24, 21, 22, 20. Wait. Do I have it? If there's no heir, hold on. If there's no heir, then the effects, the inheritance, is to be held or put in trust. Do y'all see it? According to the treaty. That's why you had these sorry ass niggas who keep telling y'all black. Okay? That's why they're doing it. That's why they're telling you that you're black. And pushing the whole black and African American thing and FBA. Y'all think about it. James Brown did the whole black and I'm proud thing. Was it in the 60s or early 70s? I don't remember. What's the difference with FBA? You mean to tell me that FBA is more descriptive of who we are as a people and, you know, the things that we suffered, our trials and tribulations? So now you're going to be, you haven't learned a lesson yet? Does it offer you any truth about your nationality? Is it rooted in history? Are there any constitutional or treaty protections? Or are you going to just get the same BS that you got as a black when they changed you from being a Moor to being black, to being colored, to being mulatto, to being Indian? You're being hustled. So when are you going to learn that lesson? Right? When are you going to learn the lesson? Let me see if I can find the treaty. I see the 1887 treaty. Give me 1 second, y'all. Well, let me go. I'll look for it again. It'll come to my mind. So let's look up the meaning of correlate or correlative. Correlative noun. A fact, number, etc., that has an important relationship to another fact or number, etc. Let's go back to the text. Go back to the text. Here we are. Correlative races. With only a few remnants of correlative races. What is this saying? This is saying that there are only a few branches. Let me make it more simple. There are only a few Sabian Moors left. But it's saying races. There's no such thing as a race, right? There are only a few, maybe sprinkled in here and there, Moorish Americans left that they're calling Negroes. Do y'all see it? All right, and I still haven't gotten to where I want to get to that I want to show y'all. With only a few remnants of correlative races remaining, with only a few Moorish Americans remaining, the early Moors being dark. Listen, y'all, a certain stigma has been placed upon them. Why? Because they're dark. Remember, the royal ark we talked about earlier. Sunlight, enlightenment, wisdom, pale, white. godly, heavenly. This is according to the solar zodiac projection. This is solar time, which finds its way into the solar religions. Colorism, white and black, good and evil. Okay, y'all, the Masonic, the checkerboard floor in the Masonic temple, white and black, good and evil. White, good, godly, black, what? Black, evil, wicked. So Lamech writes, I am writing Othello-ness. Did I get that right? Correct? Hold on. I'm not sure if I understand you, Lamech. Hold on. Let me check the other comments. So yeah. So guys, this is the response, the comments from the book that I was initially responding to Lamech's comment here. A rabbi recently stated that black people would not be in the world to come. They are still pushing this lie. Listen up. Again, this comes from the solar religions, of which Judaism is one, Christianity is one. Okay, which comes from the solar zodiac projection with this 12 zodiac signs, 12 houses, 12 mansions. Here it is. Here it is. The early races being dark. Let me restate that. The autochthonous Moors being dark. A certain stigma has been placed upon them. And even to the present time. Oh, where's the stigma come from, y'all? What happened? The Solarites, the Osirians, and the Amun-Ra squad, what did they do? They defamed and degraded, slandered and libeled the great mother Typhoon and her son Sut, who are our ancestors, our ancient ancestors who maintain the mindset of their ancient foremothers and forefathers, which was natural law of do no harm, celestial and terrestrial time cycles, which would include what? The two major, which is circle 7 and the clock of destiny. All right, they degraded them and defamed them and robbed them of their birthright. This is what the author is talking about here, a certain stigma. Let's go back to page 152. Let me recall it to your mind. Hold on. Page 150. Page 151. Page 150. Listen, y'all. The Hebrew mixed multitude most certainly adhered to the Typhonian religion until it was looked upon as odious and an abomination. This is the stigma that I'm referring to, or that the author is referring to, okay? Listen, y'all. Listen. A certain stigma has been placed upon the Moors. And even to the present time, that's 1927, they, meaning the Moors, are thought by some, I need to show y'all this. This will answer a lot of questions that you may have had. Listen, y'all read that. They are thought by some not to be born with souls, S-O-U-L-S, but past redemption, and to be excluded from the heaven of Christianity. Why? Because they belong to a period previous to the entrance of the solar reckoning of time, before their fatherhood, before the fatherhood had been inaugurated. Did y'all see that? Read it again. Y'all read that again for yourself. So when you hear these religionists, these rabbis talk like that, they're talking to you astrologically. They're talking to you astrologically. So all of the Kemetic people who are worshiping the Kemetic deities under the solar zodiac system, you are actually working against yourself. You're actually working against yourself. Let me read it again. The Moors are thought by some. So these would be the ecclesiastical class, right? The people in power. Not only to be born without souls, souls, but past redemption. In other words, you cannot be saved. Correlate that with Mark chapter 4, verse 12. When the disciples asked JC, why are you always talking to the people in parables? What did JC respond? I'm paraphrasing. He said, I'm talking to the people in parables and puzzles and riddles, because if they ever knew what I was talking about, they would have a chance to repent and be saved. So I'm going to talk to them in parables and riddles to keep them in bondage. Why? Although having eyes to see, in the solar religions, they cannot perceive. Although having ears to hear, in the solar religious paradigm, they cannot understand. So JC wanted to keep the people ignorant and dependent, in bondage. That's not me saying it. Y'all check it yourself. Okay, y'all. Now, why? Because according to the solar rites, Christianity is a solar religion. Why? According to the solar rites, the Moors are to be put in bondage, robbed of their birthright, hit with bills of pains and suffering, and bills of attainder. They are to be attained through attorneys. Escheated. Right, y'all? Why? Because you don't have a soul. And the fact of the matter is, you don't have a soul. Nobody had a soul before the Catholics invented it. So we have what? A sol in the Latin, which is a sun, sun, inside of us. Or a mechanism that produces heat. The same function that the sun, sun disk in the sky produces for the earth, we also have that, let's say, power pack, energy pack within us that gives us the vital energy, the heat, right? So that we can metabolize food, so that we can walk, ambulate, right? Metabolize everything. The Catholics only put a U after the O and said, now you have a soul. Y'all see it? How they're playing with the words? Now you have a soul that survives death and goes to heaven or hell. But heaven or hell is a remix of the North Celestial Pole, which is heaven. The sun at the summer solstice on June 22nd is what, y'all? The sun takes on the the role of Christ, Christ is what? Is in heaven, the kingdom of God. Remember? The royal ark. Y'all got it? Below is, if you draw a straight line below, is the southern celestial pole, which they call what? The bottomless abyss, which is dense darkness. And the sun at the winter solstice, December 22nd, is called what? Satan. Satan simply means opposer, right? Or opposite end of the same line as the Christ. Do y'all see how they just remixed everything and made it negative? Made it negative how? They degraded and defamed, libeled and slandered the great mother Typhoon and her son Soot. And who is her son Soot? Us, the autochthonous Moors. Do y'all see it? So this whole solar zodiac is a remix of the circumpolar zodiac, but it's put negative toward the Moors. It's meant to destroy the self-image of the Moors, in addition to planting cuckoo bird egg thought seeds into the Moors' mind, so that they will behave, so that they will think and behave, or have a mindset and behavior that is not natural to them. Okay? So niggas and hoes, right? Bitches and hoes, pimps and pushers. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what you see in the media. Thugs. This toxic hip-hop culture, right? The Satanism, get the bag before anything else, right? Breaking up families. Look at the way, it's really a shame. Y'all, if you are a black or African American, you ought to be ashamed, because you let these Khazars totally pimp you out. Totally destroy not just your mindset, but destroy the family unit. You are totally defeated, completely defeated by Khazars. And you look at them, they look weak and scrawny, right? If you ever studied with them, they're not smart. Not smart at all. I remember studying with, this is, wow, a long time ago. But I remember how the professors used to help them secretly. Yeah, I remember that. Give them information, maybe old exams. I don't know the extent of it, but I knew it was happening. And because I was in the classes with them and working with them, they weren't smart at all. Not at all. It's just the system. You know what it's like? They choose the winners, right? So, for example, the Khazars control, the Zionists control the Federal Reserve, the global central banks. So they get to choose the winners, right? And then they pretend like they're the winners because they're so smart and so disciplined. No, that's not why. They're the winners because they control the Federal Reserve. That's why. And how do they do it? Through mind games, through deceit and deception, right? Controlling your mindset. That's how they do it. So, the blacks, y'all, and the other denationalized Moors, not just the blacks, y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. You really should. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's like let's say if you're a boxer, You get knocked out by someone who's not even close to your level. You'd be ashamed of yourself, right? I'm going to do it one more again, and I'm going to let it go. The earlier races being dark, the autochthonous men and women were Moors, okay, who are various shades of brown. And y'all know, I hope you know, that not all Moors were jet black. No, various shades of brown, including light complexion, okay, or light skinned. Yeah, including light skin, okay? Including wavy hair and all of that. Y'all know this, it's called genetic variability. Not all autochthonous people have kinky hair. It's just not true. There's variety. Okay? So the early races being dark, a certain stigma, we just read it, a certain stigma has been placed upon them, and even to the present time, in 1927, they are thought by some, by the ecclesiastical class, by the elites, secret society members. So this would be who, y'all? The academics, the judges, the politicians, the religious leaders, the preachers, pastors, reverends, rabbis, imams. They were thought to be born without souls. And in fact, we do not have a soul. We are consciousness. Okay, so when the physical body expires, your consciousness remains. This is the Hermetic law of mentalism. It remains. And then the Hermetic law of gender reforms that consciousness into another body. Okay, y'all? So that's true. The Catholics made up the S-O-U-L, soul, going to heaven or hell. Okay, so they're born without souls. Not only to be born without souls, rather, but past redemption. You cannot be saved. You cannot be saved. So when the rabbi said, let me go back to your comment. A rabbi recently, this is Lamech, a rabbi recently said that black people would not be in the world to come. They are still pushing this lie. This is what they're talking about. This is the solar rights, okay? You're born without a soul, that's true. But you're also past redemption. You cannot be saved. Therefore, you are excluded from heaven, the heaven of the Christians. Why would you want to go to heaven? They made it up. Heaven is a remix of the celestial North Pole, Mount Meru, Mount Zion. It's just a remix. It ain't real. Okay? It's only real to people who believe it because they manifest it. But when they expire physically, they're not going to heaven. It doesn't exist. It's a pipe dream. Okay? So they are excluded from the Christian heaven. Because why? Okay, why? Because they belong to a time previous to the entrance of the solar reckoning of time. In other words, they existed during Sabian time. They're the first peoples. That's it. They're the first people. And the Solarites robbed their own mama. Robbed them of the birthright. Created solar religions and a fake heaven, and said that the people who maintain the mindset, well, not even that, all Moors are excluded from it. All Moors are excluded from it, from the Christian heaven. Now you know why they are so cruel to you. Now you know why they see you as less than a man, actually an animal. Or worse than an animal, right? Because they treat, I mean, I've been around hybrids, Neanderthals, who are caring for an animal but treated me like trash. Lie on me, tried to have me arrested. I have all kind of stuff. Harass me, all kind of personal things I've had to go through with these Neanderthals. In the most innocent situations and the most unlikely places. I remember, I'll never forget this. This is when I was very young. I may have been 18 or 19. Just starting school, I was in some college, and it was this secretary. I remember I went to the director of English office. I wanted to reschedule or something my English classes. And I went in there and I asked to speak to the director. And the secretary, I could look at her by the way she was dressed and her demeanor, that she was hateful, right? That she hated me and people who look like me. And so I asked to speak to him, and I went and sat down. 5 minutes later, the campus police come. And she said I was harassing her and all of this other crazy stuff. I must have been 18, 19 years old. I'll never forget it. And if I remember correctly, they had security cameras or something like that. And it was determined that she was lying. Of course, nothing happened to her. And they just asked me to leave. Can you believe that, y'all? But this is what happens when you don't know who you are. You have no birthright. They'll do whatever they want to you. You know, and actually looking back at it, I was lucky that something worse didn't happen, right? But I've had all kind of crazy stuff happen like that in my life. I remember when I was in college, I had a ticket. Well, never mind. Let's move. Let's keep it going. All right. So do y'all see, y'all? There is no logic to this. It's just that you have the birthright. You're the man or woman, you're the son who has the birthright, and the hybrid does not. Y'all get it? And the hybrid does not, so they need to steal your property, which would include your rights. Okay? That's all it is. That's the reason. So what's the solution? Go back to that mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Okay? Practice, live by natural law. Don't steal. Live by celestial time cycles. Circle 7 and Clock of Destiny. So I'm going to do some videos showing these. Okay? And also the maxim of laws and everything. I don't have the equations yet. So if anyone knows any of Dr. Ben's work or anyone else's work that shows the ancient Kemetic planosphere with the equations, and then how those equations were translated into Old Testament law, y'all let me know. Send them to me. Yasapa@zionlawschool.org. Where was I at? Okay. So, and then the bridge, right? The bridge, the workshop of the mind, to go from lower self or the satanic mindset that the vast majority of our people have, even though they may not realize it. Study Mark Passio's work on YouTube. Go to his website. So go into the workshop of the mind, overcome, escape that mindset, bridge over, transmute over it to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, like we just talked about. Live in perfect harmony with nature. Saturn is the bridge that gives you the lessons. Okay, so pass those lessons. And when you do the workshop of the mind activities, things will come to you much easier. Okay? Much, much easier. But you got to transform your mind. All right? And that's pretty much it. Right? So, we have the Great Mother Typhoon, which is feminine gender, right? Well, the Hermetic Law of gender in its role of forming and transforming existing consciousness, which is you, into one form or another, amongst other things, right? So no, heaven is not for you. That's true. But y'all don't know the astrotheology of it. You don't know the astrology of it. And the solarite practitioners, they don't know. They just know the colorism. And that they need to steal your land. Manifest destiny. And they need to keep you dumb. That's all they know. Right? So, the solarites are dealing with what? Fatherhood, which is a remix. The Father, the Tetragrammaton, Yahu, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Jehovah, all of that is a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon. That's it, y'all. Period. Then, let me read the next two paragraphs. They're short. It's only about 5 lines. This is a peculiarly provincial and grotesque opinion about the earlier races or about the autochthonous Moors to entertain at the present time. This is 1927, y'all. So we know what the conditions were in 1927, right? A study of Negro horoscopes, a study of Moors' horoscopes will be of great interest, as Saturn will be found to play a part in the new cycle. So, new cycle, it appears that she's talking about the zodiacal age of Aquarius. By evolving the dregs of the old, Saturn has been a planetary god, but will now become a planetary wet nurse. Do y'all understand that? So once you successfully go from your satanic mindset to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, Saturn now becomes your nurse. Instead of that gives you pain and punishment to teach you a lesson, to bring into your awareness the need to change through pain. Y'all hear it? So this is great news. This is really great news. Saturn is a great ender and a great hanger on. In other words, y'all, it ain't over. It ain't over. Okay? So we are in the 4th quarter with 2 minutes left on the clock, and we are at the 1 yard line. Okay? And it's second down. All you got to do is go into the workshop of the mind. Use those in the solar zodiac, those carpenter's tools, and change your character, change your mindset. All right? And Saturn will begin to work for you instead of constantly presenting you lessons so that you can improve your character and personality. Okay, y'all? Ancient priests of Egypt prophesied through astral motion. Do y'all got that? All prophecy is based on astrology. Saturn, listen, y'all. Egypt is passing through a period of rebirth or resurrection. As it were today, and as her ancient astrological knowledge comes more and more to light, that's what's happening now, y'all, with me presenting the circumpolar zodiac to y'all. It's becoming back to our consciousness. The mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers is being restored to us through these lessons. It emphasizes the fact that history has been evolved from this ancient mythical astrology, whose foundations were formed by natural phenomena belonging to the symbolic and sacred writings evolved from the heavens. What is he talking about? Talking about the remix of the circumpolar zodiac into the solar zodiac into solar religions, or the remixing of Sabian time into solar time into solar religions. It's the same thing, okay, guys? These facts found in the heavens, which were astrological, had absolute verification on earth long before history and religion existed. And an avalanche of misinterpretations subsequently is due to theology. It was not misinterpretations. These theologians, these solar right theologians, who are or who were solar zodiac guys, they intentionally remixed, or let me restate it. They intentionally remixed Sabian time into zodiac time into solar religions. That was done intentionally, with malice. The intent was to commit fraud and birthright theft. An avalanche of misrepresentations, fraud. Subsequently is due to theology. That's Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. Do y'all see it? The supernatural had very little in common with, it says here, primitive man. Let me state it again. The supernatural, in other words, external gods, devils, and demons, had very little in common with autochthonous Moors, who lived close to nature. Y'all see that? Who lived close to nature. So what he's talking about? Natural law, don't harm anyone. Circle 7 and clock of destiny. Celestial time cycles and terrestrial time cycles. Looking above and below for his natural facts. Above would be North Celestial Pole. Below would be South Celestial Pole, which he found in phenomena, natural phenomena. All right, y'all? So that was a long answer to your question, Lamech. But it was a good question. It was worth it. me see what time do we have. Let me stop, y'all. So I'll come back later. Assalamu alaikum, shalawama, Islam to all the Moors.